Hi guys, Kai here, and today I'm going to do my predictions for the coming season in the Premier League. And we're going to start from the bottom, so you'll find out who I think are going to get relegated this season, and work our way up the table and then see who I think is going to be the Premier League champions come the end of the season. This is a video I wanted to do last year, but I never got around to doing it, so I thought, what a better time to start than this year. So we're going to start off straight away. Bottom team going to get relegated. I have no hope, no chance for these guys, I don't think. It's my opinion at least, is going to be Hull City. So Hull City are going to be bottom of the table come May. That is my predictions. Right now, what's the date? The date is the 9th of August as I'm recording this, and so far they haven't brought in anybody. They brought in Will Mannion, that's about it, from AFC Wimbledon, and they've lost Diarmi, of course. They lost him earlier in the summer. Luku and Ryan Taylor have also been released. Sorry, I'm just looking at my notes down below. And so they've not really done any dealings. I know Steve Bruce has left recently as well, so that's another knock on for Hull City. So no real hope for Hull City. I think they're going to be bottom of the table. Next, after Hull City, I believe it's going to be Burnley. Burnley are going to be finishing 19th. That is my prediction for this season. They've not really done many dealings either. They were the champions last season, of course, in the championship, but I don't think they're going to have enough this year to be able to stay up. There's still time in the transfer window for them to buy a couple of players. They really do need to. They've lost a couple of players as well, including Joey Barton, who's probably one of the biggest players that they lost on a free. And so they've not really brought anybody in, so I think Burnley, they're going to be going down as well in May. So the final team that I believe are going to get relegated is going to be Sunderland. I don't think they're going to have enough, even though they've just brought in David Moyes as a new manager. I think they've got to do more dealings in the window. There's only a couple of weeks to go now. They've already spent 8 million on that one player from Chelsea. I have no idea if he's any good, to be honest, because I don't know much about him. They've lost quite a few players as well in the window, so whether they can bring in a couple of players before the window closes, I have no idea. We'll just have to wait and see what David Moyes can do. If he's got some magic under his sleeve, we'll have to see. But I think that Sunderland are going to be the third team in my predictions going down to the Championship. So finishing 17th in the Premier League for me this season will be Watford. Last season they finished 13th, but again, I don't think they're going to have enough in their bank to do a good job. They've got a good couple of signings in there, but I think they're still going to struggle. There's new managers in there as well. There's a good couple of young players that Watford have brought in, mainly Isaac Success. He's got some potential to be a success, but again, we'll just have to wait and see if he can do anything with Watford. But I think they're going to struggle again this year and finish in 17th place. West Bromwich Albion, they're going to be finishing in 16th place. That is my prediction for West Brom. They've only brought in one player as I record this right now. That is Matt Phillips from QPR. They've still got time to bring in some more. Whether Berahino is going to be there or not, I highly doubt it. So they might have some funds to spend when he's gone. Whether they can bring in some players or not, we'll just have to wait to see on that one as well. Last season they finished in 14th place, but I think this year with Berahino not being there, I think they will struggle just a little bit more. They'll be safe, but it's going to be a little bit touch and go with West Brom, I believe, this year. So in 15th place is the team which actually finished in 15th place last season, and that is Crystal Palace. Again, I think it's going to be another tough season for Palace, but I think they'll just have enough to stay in the Premier League. They brought in a couple of players, spent quite a lot of money actually for Crystal Palace, but they've also lost quite a few players as well. Whether they can do a job and stay up, I think they can, but again, another mid-table-ish position for Crystal Palace. 15th is pretty decent for Palace, so I think 15th place, Crystal Palace. So this one might surprise a few of you, but in 14th place, I've got newly promoted Middlesbrough. Remember, they were the runners-up in the Championship last season, but they've done some good dealings. Got a good manager in there as well. Victor Fisher is one of the players. He's a youngster from Ajax. He can score some goals. Who else have they got in? Victor Valdez, of course, from Manchester United. Great goalkeeper. And I'm sure there's going to be another couple of dealings before the transfer window closes for Middlesbrough. So I think 14th place is a good prediction for Middlesbrough. We'll just have to wait to see who else they can bring in. But I think they'll do pretty well this season. They might surprise quite a few people. So in 13th place this season is going to be Swansea City. At least that's my prediction. Last season they finished in 12th spot, but I think they're going to struggle just a little bit. And I think it's going to be another mid-table-ish finish for Swansea City. They've brought in Llorente, so he's got goals in him. Whether he's going to do it in the Premier League or not is just something we'll just have to watch for. I think he can. But we'll just have to wait and see for that one. But I think Swansea City 13th place, again a good position, a good final position for them this year. Stoke City are going to be my next team in my predictions, finishing in 12th spot in the Premiership. I think they're going to struggle a little bit more than they did last season. Last season they finished in 9th, so I think they're going to be a little bit off the pace this year, finishing in 12th spot. They've still got some good players in there, Shaqiri, Bojan, they brought in Joe Allen as well from Liverpool, good signing for Stoke City. So they've got the goals in them, they've got the attacking play in them, but I don't think they're going to quite match what they did last season. So 12th spot for Stoke City I think is a good result for them. Now I know this next one is going to surprise quite a few of you lot. It might be a bit of a controversial one, but I think Leicester City are going to be finishing in the 11th spot. I don't even think they're going to make the top 10 this year. They've already lost Kante, there's possibility of them losing Mahrez, they've got Vardy for the season, and they have done some good dealings. I'll give that to Ranieri and Leicester City. They brought in some good players. Ahmed Musa, he looks fantastic already, scored a couple of goals against Barcelona in pre-season. But I think they're just going to struggle. A lot of teams from last year, they'll be wanting to get revenge on Leicester City, and also they've got the Champions League to look forward to as well this year. So I think with all the games combined, I think Leicester are going to be quite off the pace this year. They've still got time to bring in some more players who want Champions League football. So we'll just have to see if Ranieri can do any more deals before the window closes. But I think it's going to be a tough season this year for Leicester. So 11th spot, at least they're still in the Premiership. So 11th I think is a good result again for Leicester. If they finish in the top 10, which is highly possible of course, that would be even better, but I think 11th spot is going to be where Leicester are going to be staying this season. So into the top 10 of my Premier League predictions, and in that 10th spot is Southampton. I think they're going to struggle a little bit more than they did last season. They lost quite a few players last couple of seasons, but last year they did really well, finishing in 6th place. So I think they're going to be a little bit off that this year. They've lost a couple of more players as well. Pele, he was their goal scorer, he's gone to China. Wanyama, he's gone to London to play for Tottenham. They've lost a couple of other players as well, but they did bring in Nathan Redmond from Norwich City. That's a good signing for Southampton, I believe. And they've got a couple of others in there as well, namely one from Bayern Munich, Hodgberg is that his name, and Alex McCarthy from Palace, and Jeremy Pied from Nice as well. So we'll just have to see if those players can come in and make an immediate impact. Hopefully Nathan Redmond does. I was always impressed with him at Norwich City, so hopefully he can do the job at Southampton. But again, a mid-table finish for Southampton, it will be a good season for them. The next up is Everton. They're going to be finishing 9th place for me this season, I think. Today is actually the day that John Stones signed and was confirmed for Manchester City, so it's a big loss for Everton. But there's a lot of money there for them to be spending, and they've already been linked with a couple of players who could be possibly joining in pretty soon. They've already brought in a couple of players, but not really any big names. They brought in Stekelenburg as a goalkeeper. Who else lost a lot? Quite a few big names in there though. Stones, of course, Tim Howard, Hibbert, Osman, Stephen Pienaar as well. So some big players there. Whether they're going to be able to replace all of them, I think they will. They've got quite a lot of money, and Lukaku's still there as I record this, but he could be gone by the time the season starts or before the transfer window closes, which again, if he does go, there's going to be a lot more funds for Everton to spend and possibly bring in some decent players. So I think 9th place is a good prediction for Everton, and I think that will be a good season all around for the Toffees. So in 8th spot, this is probably going to be my biggest surprise in my predictions, and it's going to Bournemouth. I think Bournemouth are going to finish in the top 10 in 8th place, just missing out on European spots. But I think Bournemouth are going to have a good season. They did well last season, finishing in 16th place. At least they stayed in the Premier League, and they've done some good signings this year, I believe. Some youngsters in there. Nathan Ake from Chelsea on loan. Who else did they bring in? Jordan Ibe from Liverpool, Brad Smith from Liverpool too. They've already got Benik Fobe up front who can score goals. So I think Bournemouth are going to surprise a lot of people again this season, and hopefully can finish in 8th spot and push maybe for European places. We'll have to wait to see, but probably they could get relegated. It could be as easy as that. You just never know with Bournemouth this year, but I'm hoping they have a good season and hoping that they can prove my prediction correct. So 7th place in my Premier League predictions is going to be going to the team which finished 7th last season as well, and that is West Ham United. A lot of excitement right now with the Hammers. They've got a brand new stadium, of course, already splashing the cash, been linked with quite a few big name players, namely Lacazette. He's also linked with Arsenal, of course, but they have brought in Andre Ayew from Swansea City. He cost just over 20 million, so it's a good signing for West Ham. He's got goals in, he's got assists in him, and he could really help West Ham push even further for 7th place. We'll just have to wait and see. But I think last season was pretty decent for West Ham. If they can match that again, I think it's going to be really good, and it'll help them go on to be a better team next season as well. But I think 7th place is a really good shout for West Ham United yet again. So last season, the next team finished in 3rd. They did really well, almost finished in 2nd place, and even had a chance to win the title as well. But it is Tottenham Hotspurs. They're going to be finishing in 6th place in my predictions this year. They brought in a couple of good players in Wanyama from Southampton and Vincent Janssen as well from Alkmaar in the Netherlands. I wanted actually Arsenal to go for him. I am an Arsenal fan, of course, and I wanted Arsenal to go for him. He's got goals in him, and I think that's a really good signing for Tottenham. They've already got Harry Kane there, of course, who can bang in goals. Hopefully he does better this season than he did for England in the summer. But I think Tottenham this year are going to be the top goal scorers in the Premier League, and I think they will really do well. But I don't think they're going to quite match last season's achievements, just because of how much the other teams around them have been spending, namely Man City, Man United, Chelsea, of course. So I think they'll struggle a little bit more than they did last season, but I think 6th spot is a good finish for Tottenham Hotspurs this season. Just missing out on the Champions League places for me is going to be Chelsea. So another year without Champions League football, I think it will be for Chelsea. They don't have the Champions League this year, of course, so it could easily make the top 4 this season, but I think they're just going to be a little bit off the pace again. Hopefully Eden Hazard can step up and have a good season, play like the player he's meant to play. But they brought in Kante, of course, from Leicester City, one of the main players for Leicester last season, helping them win the title. So he could do the same again for Chelsea. They could easily challenge for the title, but I think they're just going to be off the pace compared to all the other teams up there right now challenging. So I think 5th place for Chelsea is a good finish. So taking the first Champions League space, I'm going to put Liverpool. Last season they finished in 8th, pretty disappointing for Liverpool, but they did well under Klopp eventually, and I think they're going to start this season pretty well as well. Hopefully not on the first day, because they take on Arsenal, of course. But they brought in Mane from Southampton, of course. I think he's got loads of goals in him for Liverpool this season. I think he's going to do really well. They brought in quite a few other players as well. Wijnaldum from Newcastle, who I think has also got goals and assists in him as well. So I think they're still going to be a little bit off the top places. I don't think they'll quite be challenging for the title, but 4th place for Liverpool I think would be a good finish, making the Champions League spots as well. So into the top 3 then in my Premier League predictions, and I think it's going to be Arsenal, my club. We haven't mentioned them really yet, so I think Arsenal 3rd place is going to be a good finish for Arsenal. Of course, all the Arsenal fans right now very frustrated, not been spending the cash. We did spend over 30 million on Granit Xhaka, but I don't think he is a really player that we need. He's a good signing, of course, he's a good young player, but I think we need other priorities. Obviously another striker. We've been linked with Lacazette, we've been linked with Icardi. Icardi is one of the players that I really do want at Arsenal. That would be a fantastic signing for us, and I think he's got more goals in him than Lacazette has. We need some defenders as well. Mertesacker, Koscielny, they're all injured right now, and of course Gabriel got injured in pre-season. So Mustafi, he's been linked with from Valencia, so I really need him in. We've got Johnny Evans has been linked with us as well. Not a player that I really want, but again, if it's cover, it's cover. We really need the players in there. But I think 3rd place is a little bit over the expectations for Arsenal, but I think for me, being an Arsenal fan, I've got to put them up there somewhere. So I think 3rd place is a good spot for Arsenal this season. So who's going to be winning the title? I'm going to say it's going to be Manchester City, because Manchester United are in my 2nd place. They're going to be the runners-up in the Premier League this season. They've just been confirmed that they've just bought Paul Pogba the day that I record this. So a great signing, of course, for Man United. A little bit expensive, of course, nearly £100 million spent on him. I don't think it's quite worth that much, but in today's game, I guess you got to pay that kind of money if you want the best players. So a great signing. They've already got Ibrahimovic, of course. They've got Eric Bailly in there as well, and Mkhitaryan as well from Dortmund. So some good signings there for Manchester United, and of course Marino's coming as well. So a real statement of intent for United this season, but I think there's just going to miss out just from Manchester City. So as I said, Manchester City are going to be my top team. They're going to be winning the Premier League table. Let me just see who they brought in. They brought in Gundogan, of course, Nolito from Celta Vigo, Zinchenko, Leroy Sané, of course, from Schalke, Marino, and John Stones, of course. That was confirmed today as well. So John Stones, just under £50 million spent for Manchester City on him, which is a lot of money. Again, I don't think it's quite worth that much. But again, you got to pay for the players that you want, and that's what Everton wanted for for John Stones, so that's what City had to pay. So again, I think they've got a real strong squad, straight down the middle, great team. Aguero, of course, he's going to be banging in goals for laughs this season, with Guardiola in there as well. He's going to be putting his foot down, giving the tactics that City really need. And I think at the end of the season, Manchester City are going to be the Premier League champions.